Along with lines, shapes are a major building block of composition and are critical to each storyboard and film frame. We begin with primitive or basic shapes, which even on their own can imply emotions. For example, triangles can convey action, speed, or tension. Circles appear friendly, and squares seem reliable and stable. Many of our characters and worlds begin as 2 or 3 shapes stuck together. A friendly circle on top of a strong, stable, square body creates Mr. Incredible. We can take a circle, which is friendly, add a triangle, which is active, and we have Dash from The Incredibles, who is both of those things. Although we may start with primitive shapes, they evolve in a fluid way to look more organic as we add more details. And with more detail, we can convey more information, meaning, or emotion. This leads to what we call a silhouette, which is a filled-in outline of an object. Each of our characters would hopefully be immediately identifiable from their silhouette. Check it out. Now let's return to the storyboards and concept art from Up and ask our artists what they see.
With Up, we thought, well, Carl and Ellie should play off of each other. They should almost be opposites in a way. Even though they complement, they are opposites. And we thought, well, Carl would be this square shape here who's basically got these sort of drab earth tone colors as a square. And Ellie would sort of be represented by this circular, lighter shape as well. And she would be colored magenta. Again, she kind of looks at life through rose-colored glasses was the thought. And so we really just wanted to start with these basic shapes for Carl and Ellie. And so when you try to think of those elements, these end up becoming the characters. And Carl is still yet represented by a square and Ellie a circle.
You know, shape does a lot for us in this composition from Up. There's some really simple ones to spot right off the bat. You have kind of a circle or an oval, very primitive. You have a version of a triangle. Again, it's got a gesture to it, it's leaning, it's dynamic, it's moving towards Ellie. Another triangle here with Ellie, kind of accepting those pieces. It's almost like they're 2 pieces of the same sort of thought. That curved circle is repeated here, which kind of helps emphasize a stacked element in the same direction, aiming towards Carl's face. Behind Carl, we have a huge, huge rectangle, or series of rectangles, that are, again, helping to draw your eye straight to Carl.
I really like this example from Ratatouille of a character whose shape is really intimidating. Anton Ego is the food critic who comes and kind of is known to take whole restaurants down. So the way that he's designed, it's interesting. He's like a skinny little guy, so thin and so tall you can just see him dominating over anyone, and his head is leaning forward like he's coming over you like a vulture. And there's something very funerary about him. If you look at even the way that his office is designed from above, it looks like a coffin, and I just really love that kind of that parallel between the character and the set design that he occupies.
So for this scene, it's the beach race scene, and so the way that I used shape here was to have like a really large form that kind of blocks out exactly where you're supposed to look. So it feels like you're an outsider, but you also get a feel of how fast the car is, because we're so far back and you'll see him go across screen so quickly. So you have like this dark shape here that really just pushes you towards McQueen. Even the blades of grass are all pointing towards where you're supposed to look, as well as the flow of the fencing. We as the audience are the outsider here, because he's not quite understanding emotionally where he should be at yet in the film. So the camera is also pulled away, and the shapes are boxing him in a little bit. So he feels boxed in his mind as well.
In this panel from Cars 3, shape does a lot for us to strengthen what's happening in Lightning's life. That's one thing that works well in the Cars world, is this idea that the characters themselves are shapes. Traditionally, Lightning has rounder images, or rounder aspects to him. He's friendlier. He's more approachable. He's our hero. When you get to Jackson Storm, our new character, he's a lot more angular. But there's a lot more of a sharp dynamic quality to Jackson. And I think these lines also help him feel faster. The dynamic shapes of where he's going. Using these sort of primitive triangle ideas, it really gives you a sense of moving forward. Traditionally, other cars in the Cars world are boxes, or variations on boxes. They're not going anywhere. They're slow. But they also help frame the more dynamic characters that we're looking at, the curves of lightning and the strong angles of storm.
As you can tell, shapes can be used in many ways to help tell a story, and it's universal. The use of shape to convey meaning can apply to everything: a car, a monster, a human, or even an emotion. In this next exercise, you'll have an opportunity to think more about shape.